Hello, my name is Matt Douglas. I'm presenting my long report today of what I turned in, the project for the local problem that we want to solve, that I actually want to solve, and it has to do with recycling in Utah, about the way Utah could improve its recycling methods, what we're currently doing, what other states have done that seem to work, as well as some statistics to show how Utah can do better. All right, so next slide. So first off, how do we rank? Utah actually ranks very low when it comes to recycling. We're actually the 42nd in the nation, so we're the very bottom of the list there. There's only, 8 states below us. So these are actually some pretty interesting statistics that I thought was interesting because many people don't think about recycling. They know it's good for the environment, but I think until they think of how little we do it, they realize how much we could improve. Because people will throw away, they'll recycle a can or a bottle, and they're like, oh yeah, I recycle. But um, generally, as Utah's population in a whole, we don't fully recycle. So here, like out of 2.4 millions of tons of trash, we recycled only 2.7%. So obviously, it's kind of hard to imagine how much 2.4 million tons of trash is. But later, we'll show some real life examples of how much to relate trash to something we see every day. But you can see from the pie chart there, just right here, that it's a very small sliver of trash. So 2.7% of our trash is 32 tons, or it'd pretty much be 15 big SUV cars that we recycled. That was how much it would equate to. And obviously, that's a lot, but if you think about Utah's population in a whole, everyone that lives in Utah, that's a very minimal amount of what we could be doing, especially given the pie chart of the very small sliver that we do recycle. So many people wonder what is going green. They know it's saving the environment and I guess helping it. So here's some ways. So we can first off gain a knowledge of what going green is, of what protecting the environment, in this case of what recycling is and how it benefits the environment. The second thing we can do is we can recognize ways that we can uh, go green, and like I said, in this case, related to recycling, of how we can better recycle, how we can reuse our products to save stuff, save materials. The last is choosing to change. We can recognize it, but we've got to actually go forth and recycle, make it an effort to find what products we use and consume every day that can be recycled and reused instead of just thrown into a normal trash can and taken to the landfill. So we've got to reuse and recycle. So where did it come from? It's actually been around for quite a while. As you see, that it's become popular around first Earth Day, which is 1970s. But it was, prior to that, it was a really big thing after many of the wars, and like during the wars when people were in kind of tight money situations, economic downturns, the depression. They found that reusing their items, recycling, finding ways to, once they've consumed the item or the food in it, that they can use a container or reuse the container for other methods instead of having to go rebuy one. So it was a way that they could cut back on spending money, especially when they didn't have much. So like during the Depression, people were really poor. Recycling was really popular. They would reuse all their items, find every little way that they can reuse it. Just like in other cultures, in other country, you see like this might be kind of a weird example, but many cultures, the animals they use every part of the animal. They don't throw it away. Every part of the animal that they kill to eat, they will use it in some way if they don't eat it or if it's not edible. So people found a way to reuse every part of a recycled item. So reusing saves money. And that's really big. I mean, to be honest, that's really big. Whether in an economic downturn or not, you can save money. That's a very good thing. It's less work you have to do. So we need to save and reduce. So recycling saves materials, saves energy, reduces harmful gases that are emitted to the environment, and reduce waste. There's actually lots of harmful gases that are, I guess, released into the air as trash kind of decomposes into the ground. If you've been in big cities, sometimes you'll see big mounds of trash, and then they have little pipes coming out of the ground to help kind of, I don't know if irrigate's the right word, to aerate, I guess, the gases that come out. But in all, it's all just released into the environment for you to breathe more, which is definitely not good, especially in Utah. Northern Utah already has a air inversion as it is. We don't need more harmful air being circulated around. So here's an example. 1 ton of recycled aluminum equals one 10 cubic yard dumpster or 10 cubic yards of landfill space. So that guy right here, let's go back. This guy, that is 10 cubic yard landfill space. And so recycling can save that. And here, 10 cubic yards would be 10 stoves. So 10 of your stoves would take up the same amount as 10 cubic yards or fit in the dumpster. Let's go back this way. Okay, so recycling also can save 40 barrels of oil, which is 1,680 gallons. So this is all equating, we'll go back one more. This is all equating to what 1 ton of recycled aluminum equals. That's how much space it can save. So it can save 10 cubic yards of landfill space, or in this example, it can save 10 household stoves. 40 barrels of oil, which is 1,680 gallons it can save, as well as it can save 14,000 kilowatt hours. I personally didn't know how much 14,000 kilowatt hours was until I looked up some conversions, but that would be 7,000 dishwasher loads, which is, that's so many. If you think of how many dishwasher loads you do, one or maybe two a week, that's about 100, just over 100 per household. That's 700 or 700 households use of dishes. So it's quite a lot of electricity it saves in and of itself. So currently recycling methods in Utah. So what we currently do, so there's mainly two ways that people in Utah recycle. One, they pay for that blue bin that you see outside their home, recycled trash cans at your house. So they pay for that to be delivered. And yes, they have to pay for it to be delivered. An example, so if in the city of Provo, they charge you around $20 or so a month. It might have gone up. This was from a couple of years ago. And they charge you that much a month to have a blue bin, or these bins placed at your house. And it's picked up with your trash, but it's not picked up every week like your normal trash. It's only picked up twice a month. So, or every other week it's picked up. So that's one way. Then the other way is driving your trash. You see big public recycle bins at a lot of time they're in a grocery store parking lots, and you have to sort them between plastic, aluminum, other recyclable goods like clothing, stuff like that. So then you have to get out, and these are kind of unsightly. They're big. They're taller than you, so they're probably 10 feet tall or more. Then you have to throw them in these big bins and sort them. So why is Utah so bad? So one, it's very inconvenient. You have to either pay to have a trash can at your house, or you have to get in your car, drive it, then sort it and everything. Then the other one, there's no financial benefits to it, as there are in other states. And we all know people like to make money, like they like to save money when it comes to recycling. And so why not get paid to recycle? It's going to entice people to recycle more. So current success, we'll look at the state of California. It ranks top of the list every year. It's one of the top recycling states. Granted, it is bigger, but their methods definitely have implemented a lot. So it's a bigger state, they produce more trash, but their methods help and give people incentives to recycle all that trash. So in a 5-year period, their recycling increased 32%. That's quite a bit in 5 years to go from people recycling, not a whole lot, to 32% more. And then just in the city of Los Angeles, it brings in $600 million in recycling between the money saved by reusing their items, the money that people get paid to recycle, as we'll talk about later, and then just the money that people can resell the recycled metal, plastic, whatever it is for. $600 million is a lot. Granted, city of Los Angeles is also very big, but even a smaller portion of that for such as Utah and the state is pretty good. So there is a fix. Let's look at, again, the California. So like we said, money talks. People like money. They like to make money. If they can save money, that's always a good thing. And so California, they kind of recognize this. They implemented a bottle bill. It was back in 1988 when they started to become big on recycling. And the bottle bill, as a couple other states have it, like Hawaii, I believe, has one. But a bottle bill, it's where they put a law in place that requires a refundable deposit to be available to people who recycle like containers, like bottles or aluminums, hence bottles. So anything you kind of consume something out of. So soda cans, plastic water bottles, even some milk cartons, stuff like that. There's all a refundable deposit, meaning you get the money back. There we go. Okay, so money's still talking. So this program, it's called a CRV. It's called California Redemption Value. Meaning you can redeem your can for a certain amount of value or your bottle for a certain value, which it's changing sometimes due to inflation or recycling prices and stuff like that. But so this is how it works. A distributor like Pepsi, they pay a predetermined amount into the state fund. The state holds that fund, and Pepsi can choose to pass that on to the consumers, or they could just have the cost themselves. So obviously it might raise a little bit of prices on items, but people also choose to get that back. And sometimes the distributor just adds that to their own personal cost of doing business. So this in California, the amount's usually ranging between 5 and 10 cents right now, depending on the item, the size of the item, like how big your can is, like a little Red Bull can or a big soda can, whatever it is, and same with water bottles and just plastic as well. After the container is used, it can be taken to a recycling center, and the consumer is paid instant cash. So the consumer can get the money back from the can that the price was increased, that redemption value that the distributor had to pay, and then in return increase the consumer's price, or they just eat the cost themselves. So the consumer can get it back. And here's the other thing. Sometimes people won't participate in the program, so they just throw it away or something. So if you go to California, you'll see many people that as an extra income, they go and just collect everyone's recycled trash and take it in and get all the money themselves. So here they're getting all this money that other people aren't choosing to, they just don't care about the 5 cents, so they throw it away. And then the people will get the others recycle and take it in. So that's money for them that they get to keep that they wouldn't have had. Some people, I know you'll see a lot of homeless people doing it. It's just so it's a double benefit. The poor people or people are choosing to recycle other people's trash, get the money, as well as people or the recycles, it's being recycled instead of just thrown away. So that's how it works. So Pepsi, the distributor, they pay 5 cents or 10 cents to the state of California, which they kind of hold it in like a fund. They hold the money in a fund. And then Pepsi, in return, they'll sell the can to the consumer down here. And the consumer, like I said, they can choose to recycle, throw it away. Someone takes it, whether it's them or someone else choosing to recycle for them, takes it to the recycling center. The recycling center will pay the person their money, so they get that 5 or 10 cents, depending on the cost of plastic at the time, aluminum, how big the item is, how much it weighs, stuff like that. And then the recycling center, they will collect that money from the state, as well as a little processing fee right here, a processing fee, money like the price it costs them to recycle the item. So that's how they make their money. And these are all private centers. They're not really, if I can spell, they're not really state run. They're all private. And so it's another way for someone to start a business, which is good. More business owners. And as you'll see up here, not everyone participates. So state will just keep the unclaimed funds that people paid in. Like I said, some people choose to throw it away. It doesn't get recycled. The state will keep that unclaimed money, which, in return is good for other state-funded programs. It's a lot of money brought in that the state can use. And some people say, well, that's not fair. Now they're just taking more money from me, but they have the option to return it and get the money back, or go out and collect other people's recycles and get their money too. Technically, it'd be their money. They choose not to recycle. So how we'll fix this in Utah is kind of implementing the two things California does. So one, California, they just give everyone blue bins, the blue recycles, and that's also a lot of extra recycled items that they can sell back to distributors for money and stuff. Let's make sure it's still recording. Okay. So now residents will do it like California. They don't have to pay. They will not pay for blue bins. The price will just be built into everyday trash. This allows everyone the opportunity to recycle. Then they don't have to feel like, oh, I have to pay all this extra money to recycle. I don't want to pay it. Everyone will have it just like California. And that those recycled items will, go to a recycling center to get reused, and then that private company, the trash company, gets to sell the recycled items for money too. And this just continues to give people more opportunity. It doesn't make a burden. They don't have to pay for it. So some people might say, well, that's extra money. The state has to pay to have blue bins at no extra cost, but it's all covered by the amount of money that's being saved from recycling the items, not just throwing them waste in a landfill. So a second item, let's get this to go back. Yeah, so like I said, how can Utah benefit? It's the trash to cash. They'll implement a monetary system for their items, like I said, getting paid to recycle, the CRV, California Redemption Value. And then like we just talked about, mandatory blue bins at no extra cost. And so like I said, they'll continue to, Utah can implement these ways. So the monetary system, people get paid to recycle. They get their money back. They recycle other people for their money that they didn't choose to accept. And then everyone will have an opportunity to recycle with no extra cost by these mandatory blue bins at their house. Like I said, it's just, I think there's a picture back here. These things, these are what blue bins are. They just go to everyone's house, and then they can choose recycles picked up with your trash. So that's just my short summary of my report I did that people can implement in Utah to fix our problem, make us not 42nd on the list. These cause harmful gases to go into the environment by not recycling, by it just going into the landfill. And these items can in turn boost our economy by bringing money and selling recycled items, recycled metal back to distributors instead of it just being thrown away to never be used again. I know someone said like to recycle aluminum takes only an hour to put it through the refiner, like the little fire that will melt it down, reuse it, press it out. That only takes an hour versus, hours or days to produce new metal out of minerals and stuff out of the ground and the environment. So it even saves time as well. So that was just a little bit on my project of how we can better recycle in Utah and make it a little bit better and more economic friendly, bring money in, make people feel better about the environment. Like I said, maybe even improve the air. There's many benefits that come from recycling.